Right. You have a great radio voice, by the way.
Oh, man. My mom always said I had a face for it.
I'm like, I would never think his voice was on the radio. We'd be like, I got to meet that guy. He's hot.
Mike in the morning.
That's Mike in the morning.
That's Mike.
And then the one reason that I have that I'm my own employer is because, I don't like waking up at all.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
And I was schlepping a bunch of stuff, like moving it after I've already moved it like 4 times. And I'm like, man, I need an apprentice that I could yell at about this.
Right.
Gotta get your son working. Yeah.
You gotta have some kids, bro.
I do.
Around.
No, that
Just be
kid,
more,
he has
right?
few moving parts. That guy.
Make your own people. Oh, that's awesome.
Mike's like 20 kids and counting.
You're like, they're all no good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make another one.
Yeah. Just keep rolling the dice.
Damn.
All right. Well,
right.
Todd, you let us know when it's time, and I'll start this here countdown clock for us.
It's about that time.
It's about that time. Well, hello, everybody, to Our Town Podcast, coming to you from the historic Renton Civic Theater in beautiful, beautiful downtown Renton.
Right on.
How's it going, everybody?
He's glad to be here.
Yeah.
Special guest star.
Special guest star. We've got Anthony Hollis in the projection room with us today. So
Here I
graciously
am.
come down.
Good to have.
Straight from Hollis, right?
We are doing an episode on sort of hustle culture and careers and jobs. And I've known Anthony for several years. And I don't know anybody that hustles harder than this man. So I'm so happy that he decided to come down and join us. How's it going, man?
Good, man. I'm missing money, so let's hurry up.
Oh, you can charge Charles.
Yeah, just send me the bill, man. Send me the bill.
Well, and that's the downside of having a clock, right? Now we know exactly how much we owe him.
Yes,
I'm like, man, you know how much I would have made by now? I got to get out of here.
Down a little
$5 a
bit.
second.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
We could hear.
Anthony, you have, amongst other things, 2 main businesses, I would say, right? You have Hammers That Care, which is your general contracting business.
Correct.
And you are also have a used car business, right?
yeah.
Or a car business.
Ooh, you make me sound so sleek.
I know. I was trying to make that sound as best as I could, but I've seen the cars, man, and they are phenomenal. You got BMWs and Mercedes and all kinds of stuff.
Got a Porsche out front. They're all for sale. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. So I got 2 businesses, and I spun off another one. So I have a towing company. So
Jeez, there we go. Yeah.
Man.
So you're also a repo man then?
I'm not going to do the repo thing 'cause I don't want to get shot at. But
Geez, rescuing people's nice.
yeah, definitely. But it was something that was just a natural progression because it was so hard for me to find guys to be on time just to get the vehicles when I was purchasing them, to get them to the lot or get them to the mechanic. Whatever, I was going to get U-Haul trailers, and I was just like, "Yo, okay, look,
It's so much easier just to.
come on, I'm about to just go ahead and y'all gonna force me to do this, right?"
Yeah.
So I went ahead and quick story. Can I tell you a quick
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
Go for it, yeah.
So when I was deciding to do this, I got online and I was looking at all these tow trucks, and I didn't know nothing about no tow trucks. But you know what? I just didn't want to call somebody and be at their mercy for when they come and do the service for, and they're charging like crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And liability, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was like I need to go 2 miles. There's like that $400. I was like, what? I'm like, you're gonna lift my car and drag it?
It's $100 just to get the hook on there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is. It's like
get 'em to roll out.
$125 just for the hook. So I was like, you know what? I'm getting my own truck. So I found one online. It was in San Diego.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay, well, babe, book me a ticket to San Diego. I'm going to go get this tow truck. Man, I flew to San Diego, and then I had to take an Uber about an hour away. I was about 3 miles from Tijuana. All right. And when I walked in, I'm telling you, it was like tumbleweeds going across the lot. And like the music stopped, and I was like, I'm just here to get this truck, bro. I jumped in this thing and was like, okay, let's figure it out.
Wow.
But it's really all about just having that that innocence to try something.
Sure.
And like,
Yeah, that's a
you
good
know,
way to
That
put it.
boldness. Yeah, no, it's always bold.
Yeah, and a little stupidity. You got to be stupid a little bit. You know?
So did someone show you how to do everything, or did you just go straight to YouTube?
Man, you know, I went to YouTube University.
Yeah, right on.
Went right there, and then the rest was like just networking with other people that I met in the industry, in the car industry that had tow trucks in the business before, and then just start absorbing it. You know, and the one of the biggest things about having a business is, you know, you have a hobby that you want to make it pay.
To monetize your hobby.
You want to monetize it, so like,
Oh,
can I do this without coming out of my own pocket, basically?
Yeah.
You know, and so I found that my hours between 4 p.m. and 2 a.m. were the most valuable because it's usually an hour before you get off of your work, your grind or whatever you're doing, and then you start strategizing for, okay, how am I going to make my hobby a business or turn that around? And so from 4 o'clock to 2 a.m., that's when I was putting in all my work. You know, so I was like researching, I was tinkering, I was taking stuff apart, you know, trying to put it back together. And then the worst thing I figured was like, if I just destroy this truck, I can call somebody to put it back together.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if it comes apart, as long as you take pictures and label all your screws and put them in little Ziploc bags, you can probably put it back together.
Sure.
You know, with YouTube.
Is that how
University.
the cars started for you? As a hobby?
Well, kind of. The cars was kind of like one of those things that my brother, my older brother, Rob, he was like a car genius. Never went to school. Well, besides high school, they had auto shop in class.
Yeah.
And they took all that stuff out of schools, which sucks. But he learned so much about cars and really gave me that bug of...
Wait, they don't have auto shop anymore?
Not that I know.
Depends on the
They got it
school,
at
man.
Britain Tech. You can pay for it.
Up the hill, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what sucks.
Because we had of course I was in school in the mid to late 80s.
Right.
So
Right.
we had auto shop, but we also had small engines and welding. We learned how to weld. Never been able to use that skill anywhere, but I know how to use an old school arc welder.
Well, you know, the thing about it is a lot of those trades are coming back to life, and not even coming back to life. They've always been needed,
Sure.
but any of the kids locally now, or you know, they don't have that in class anymore. So how do they get that experience? You know, besides going to school and saying, "Hey, I want to learn how to weld," or does your dad weld, or does your uncle, cousin, brother, sister, aunt, whoever, and they learn that, and then they can apply that to something that they want to do.
Right.
So long story longer. I got a tow truck. But yeah, so it's been fun. So I have.
So we know who to call when we're stuck in a ditch.
Do you dispatch out for people, or how do you?
So it's something that I basically hired a couple guys to drive the truck for me.
Okay.
And then I set up accounts with all of the auction houses that they constantly, you know, bring cars back and forth.
Yeah.
So I set up accounts there, and then from there you go into the insurances, and then the police departments and fire department, all that stuff. And you know, it just takes a little time to kind of go into the whole thing and get it all set up. And then you have drivers that will, you know, I dispatch out for the thing. So.
I'm imagining Anthony has like 3 phones on his dashboard, and whichever one rings, like Hammers that care, Blackout Motors, Anthony's towing.
Sometimes, but you know, it's funny you say that because I've had the same phone number for probably like 25 years. And I'm like, you know, I'm just going to keep this phone number. And when I answer, I was like, this is Anthony. And he's like, I'm calling about a tow. I need a tow truck. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, hey, go get this guy. You know, so it works out. But I really, it's just things that are coming more natural to me that I think I want to turn into a business. So the tow truck came from the car dealership, and then Hammers That Care was this the general contracting company that I got into because I've always loved architecture. And so it just was something that just came along. And then I got into I have another business, believe it or not. I have a
No.
yeah, why why not? So I have
that's
time
6 jobs
stretching.
right now, right?
Did I pick the right guy for hustle culture discussion?
I'm having flashbacks of in Living Color when
how many jobs you got?
exactly. Yeah.
Great,
the family. Yeah.
Only 2 jobs.
Lazy boy. Yeah, that ain't gonna be me. I'm sorry. So my sister, she moved to Palmdale, California, probably about 25 years ago, middle of the desert, and over all this time, water's becoming a premium there that they really can't drink the water there. So water and ice. So we were like, hey, you know what? It'd be pretty cool to have an ice machine.
Oh,
business.
that's right. I saw this business.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but you have machines up, right?
Yeah. So we have one now as our prototype because this is a new type of machine that filters the water 5 times and then it makes ice, but it also dispenses water not at the same time, but it can do either or. So we said, hey, let's just get this. They're all over the East Coast and they're just going crazy on the East Coast, but everything happens on the East Coast first, right? And then it comes west. So the thing about this is, with any business that is new, you're kind of a pioneer,
sure.
And pioneers, like most pioneers, you're either going to be celebrated or your head's getting cut off.
Sure.
Like, nobody likes you. Whack.
We're eating each other.
Right.
I mean, but that's the risk of it all, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the risk reward thing, and so this is kind of something I wanted to be passive, and it's going to take some time to get into.
Yeah, you could even what do you call that when people buy into it? A franchise.
Yeah.
Like a franchise type thing. No,
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
So yeah, we're just like,
And that uses water on, so you would still be like hooked into the city municipality or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. You have to.
But
be
then you just make it
that.
higher quality.
And there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And what's really cool about it is you can put your whole ice chest underneath it, and it just drop right down into that.
All the ice.
Yeah. You don't need bags. You just put your cooler underneath it, and it just fill it up.
Okay, so there's no real waste either.
No.
I want to invest.
Yeah. Man, come on. I need investors.
Yeah,
Come on.
no, that's a great idea.
Buy in. Let's go.
That's a great idea.
So you have this in which state again?
That's in Palmdale, California.
So what does that
That makes
investment
sense.
cost?
Oh, yeah.
A pretty penny.
Yeah, no, something like that, yeah.
You got one? Get 2.
Depending on water filtration isn't cheap, right? Let alone and making the ice takes a lot of energy, man. It does.
Well, this machine, it makes 1,500 pounds of ice. It holds 1,500 pounds of ice.
Okay.
So this thing is like 8 feet tall, about 4 feet deep, and about almost 6 feet wide.
Wow.
So it's a pretty nice size footprint. But once it gets going and it's filled, you pretty much have to back a truck up to empty it. And it just keeps remaking ice. So if it gets low, it's a busy day. We sell 400 pounds of ice and 500 pounds of ice. It'll just fill back up.
Sure.
So it just keeps replenishing itself. So I'd really love to have one here in Renton.
Beautiful Renton, Washington.
Beautiful Renton, Washington.
Yeah, because the only place you go to get filtered water, and everybody loves Renton's tap water, right? But some people really prefer filtered water, and that's wonderful. But
Absolutely.
That's always a supermarket, some kind of thing, I don't know if this is a kiosk type thing or is it a self-standing?
It's self-standing, and that's
what I'm talking about, man.
It's cool because we're
it's like a red box, but of life-giving water.
I'm trying to eliminate this carbon footprint, okay? Because you have these Ready Ice trucks, and nothing against Ready Ice, but they're delivering those, and they're burning all sorts of the emissions into the environment, and we just need to eliminate that. There's a better way to do this business, and I think I have it. So
I think you should have delivery
24 hours.
24 hours.
Oh yeah, no,
you don't need
a bar needs
teller.
ice or
none of that. Just pull up,
Anthony,
get it, and go.
Anthony, I think you should have delivery trucks, but get those Amazon EVs.
Those ribbons, I bet they're a $120
quiet truck that'll run you over.
The ones that look like really large robots.
Yeah.
Right.
They have those big eyes on the
He's
front.
going to have drones delivering ice
drone
pretty soon.
delivering
Just
ice.
dropping ice blocks.
Just right on the porch, right? Oh man, don't get me started. Come on, I dream too much, man. You got to have important people around you while you're dreaming. Let me just say that. Do not stop dreaming. You got to be a little naive to be an entrepreneur.
Everybody dreams of the ticket and creating things, right? And you got to dream to know what to create, right?
Right.
Because without creation, life is mundane and dumb. You know what I mean? You got to make something.
About 2 or 3 years after I got into podcasting, so like 2016, I thought, maybe I should try, look into see what it costs to open a studio for people to come in and just try podcasting.
Yeah. I've seen those online.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, have these different, like, makeup little it's like booths.
Booths.
It's like different booths. Like, it'll have like watermelon booth and then like a flower booth, and then people go in there and just do their thing. I think that's awesome.
The only place I know that has a podcast studio is at Super Funny podcast or Super Funny comedy club down in Tacoma.
Oh, okay.
I'm drawing a blank on that guy's name right now.
Great idea.
Great idea.
Any idea what they charge per hour?
I could find out, but
just curious.
It's one of those things where, like, I thought, people are always asking, how do you get into?
Listen, do you smell it?
Yeah, we don't have smell-o-vision, so you're good. Folks, be glad. But no, I just one of those things. Like, people are always asking, how do you get into podcasting? And say, well, do you have a topic you want to talk about?
Right.
Yeah. I was like, do you have free time to talk for an hour?
Right.
Yeah. Well, do you have a smartphone? Yeah. But just hit record.
And honestly, I mean, this is more than anybody even expects out of podcasts, because typically, I'm thinking podcast, grab your phone, aim the camera at you, and then start talking, and there you go. But no.
And when we get the stage and everything, right?
If we're lucky, we're on
the sound is different, et cetera, et cetera.
And you put me in the closet? And y'all get the stage, you put me in the closet?
We are in a working theater.
Yeah, and it just took us like a lot of hours to build the set on that stage. So it's taking up every last square inch of that stage.
Oh my God, it's a nightmare. Contractor over here, man. You need to figure out how to make a pop-up podcast box.
There you go.
Bicycle.
They're like, fold that up, put it in the back.
That's something to think about. Then he's coming up with an easy to set up podcast studio.
Just a mobile. We can get an old school bus.
Man, you can do that with...
that's what the Rolling Stones had. Remember? They had their mobile studio, recorded like 30 albums.
That was actually one of those things, like when I first was going through the process of trying to get on disability, it was like I had, things that I wanted to do when I got my back pay, because I knew I was going to get a huge chunk of money.
Right.
And so I was thinking, I'd get myself a short bus and convert it into a studio and drive around and interview people. I got about $6,000 out of everything after the lawyer took his bit, State of Washington took their bit.
Got all this stuff,
and I.
Or did you go get hookers and cocaine?
Hookers and cocaine.
So clearly, I invested back into my hobby. So this
invest
thing here,
in yourself, man.
This thing here I got for my first stimulus check. This thing here was like $600,
man.
But and then and those guys have their own mics. The one you're using is the one. The one I was using until I got this.
That's a nice.
So you gave me the cheap one?
No, that's not. Actually, your mic is nicer than those two.
How dare you, sir?
Yes. Yeah, but this one's nicer than yours.
Let me check.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nice.
All right. Well, with our discussion, let me just define what we're talking about. So, hustle or grind culture is when a workplace environment places an intense focus on productivity, ambition, and success, with little regard for rest, self-care, or any sense of work-life balance. And that's kind of what we're faced with.
Is that straight from Wikipedia? Because that sounds like Wikipedia right there.
From the Googleator.
I just would like to think that it's more of a self-motivated thing.
Yeah,
right?
and it depends
Because when your employer does that, not into it.
That's what I was going
right?
to say. When you're Anthony and you're working for yourself, right?
I think that's the hustle.
I think all of us had either side hustles or our own businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
So we know what that's like to grind for yourself. But when you're grinding for a boss, another person that's making all that money out of you,
someone who drives a DeLorean.
And this is just my thoughts, though. I mean, I think that. Okay, let me back up. I worked at Seattle City Light for about 3 to 4 years.
You're the one that remembered to turn the light on.
I did, yeah. Made sure middle of the night you got to pee and you see the toilet. I was me. I helped you out, right?
I appreciate that.
No problem. But
donations accepted.
Right. You're right over here. But I think that the work-life balance thing is a two-part. One, when you're young, you should be trying to accumulate all the information you can. And sometimes that comes with that grind.
Yeah.
And you got to just put the time in. You got to learn the craft. And hopefully it's something that you want to do in the future so that you can gain all that information. And so you can make a decision. Hey, do I want to do this for myself one day? Or do I want to get the freak out of here?
Do I want to go make pottery or something?
Right. Yeah. So it's that. And then you have family, if you are fortunate enough to have a family, and you need that work-life balance. Again, I think it's important to work. If you're on time, you're late. That's what I always say. If you're on time, you're late. So that's one thing. And then put in a little bit more. And if that causes you to maybe miss your kid's game or something like that, honestly, I think that's okay. Because I think your family needs to see what you're doing for the family. And sometimes you need to bring your kid to work and just get them to understand.
Just for understanding's sake.
Yeah. This is what mom got to do. This is what dad got to do. Yeah. Maybe you should come and help me so I can get home early. How about that?
Yeah.
And then you can say, you know what? Maybe I can do this differently, or maybe I can do this for myself now that I've seen this whole layout of what you've shown me, that I can't go home early. I got to come, I got to start work late. Work ain't done. I'm taking it home.
But there is that balance, right? And that's up to the individual to figure out what that balance is.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
When
Whatever
I was in
that
my
family
20s
dynamic
and 30s,
is, right? Yeah.
starting those businesses and stuff, man, I could do the 80 hours a week, but the days that I had my son, I would get off on time, pick him up, and we would spend the evening. The days I didn't have my son, I'm going to stay late at work. I'm going to get some stuff done, that kind of thing. So.
I mean, it's important. And I think that grind taught me how to grind for myself and hustle for myself, because I was always like, well, you know what? If I'm going to give them 60, 70, 80 hours, I can give that to myself, and I said, hey, I'm going to give them 8 hours, 9 hours, and then I'm going to give myself another 6 hours when I get off, And so you start reinvesting that time back into what you do. And then, when you do become an entrepreneur and you're working from home or you're just self-employed, you can show your family, not just your immediate family, your kids or wife, but even your extended family, what you've done.
Sure.
They can say, well, damn, was it scary? Yeah, it was scary. It was scary when you jump out of an airplane, skydiving. But you pull the parachute and then the view is great.
Yeah. I would say this to the young people, though, that are listening to us, old guys and Anthony.
Right.
Figure out what that is. Do what feels comfortable to you. When you're young, you've got the energy and stuff, and if it makes sense, you're like Anthony said, you're learning something, you're getting something out of it, then great.
Yeah. And you're learning how to push yourself.
But just, if you've got a boss, and we've all had those crappy bosses that just, make you grind and grind and grind and get nothing out of it, except making them look good. That you need to learn to recognize that. I think.
And because we need to know what's appropriate for us, right? And that's I mean, sometimes that type of sacrifice is, and sometimes it's not. Right? So we need to be honest with ourselves about it.
Well, I'll piggyback that. Where you said do things that are comfortable for you. When you find something that your hobby. Well, and this is what I did. I found a hobby that I love. I love building and making things. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. But I got to a place where I had to start to accept when it felt uncomfortable. Because when it feels uncomfortable, you feel like, I might be doing the wrong thing, and why am I doing it, and what am I going to get out of it? And a lot of times you don't have that answer, and that's that uncomfortable feeling. And
yeah, that's true. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to step into that uncomfortableness to get that education out of it. That
absolutely. You got to step out on that. Yeah. You know, the best fruits of life are out on a limb, and if you don't get out on that limb, you ain't going to taste the fruit.
That's true. You're not going to grab that prime apple.
That's right. So
you're going to go ahead and just reach for the one with the worm climbing out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
if cut that part off. You still eat it. It's good.
Do you consider, Anthony, any of your businesses as a side hustle at this point? I mean, did they start as kind of a side hustle? Because side hustle culture is huge right now, right? Especially with young people. Everything from driving Uber on the weekends to, delivering pizzas or doing a blog that you're hoping to make money off of, that kind of stuff. I mean...
Yeah, well, I look at, side hustle is the new word for making ends meet. Everybody was trying,
that's putting a nice spin on it.
It sounds nice,
it sounds better, it sounds cooler, sexier. But when you're making ends meet, that was just something I kind of grew up with my dad, who was an entrepreneur, my brother's an entrepreneur, my sister, my whole family. I don't think any of my siblings even had a job.
Regular
I was the only one that was stupid enough to go get a job, and then I got my own business, so I'm right there with them. But making ends meet. That's what it was really all about. And it was like, hey, we want to do that extra thing on the weekend. Let me work a few more hours and do this or do that, or let me make some pies and sell those to my neighbors or whomever I know, so that we can get the extra money so we can go on vacation. So all these things that are coming up now with side hustles is really cool. My businesses, I look at them as it's a weird thing to call something a business now for me, because side hustle is you're still self-employed because you're still doing the work, right? But if you have a business, that means that you've employed people that are helping you to generate that income.
Sure.
So it's kind of at that fine line of it's a business sometimes, and then other times it's a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because, now, you get taxed as a business, and you got to start looking at that and like, okay, I've got to pay L&I, and I've got to do this.
Yeah, no, everybody.
Hey, you know what? I'm just going to go back to being a side hustle.
Well, the IRS just passed a law, too. So if you are somebody that, like myself, in the past, I've done what's called recycling. So I'll go to Goodwill, or I'll go to garage sales or something. I'll find something that I know is worth something, and I can turn around and sell it on Etsy or eBay, flip it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, the IRS is looking at that. If you make over $600
per transaction, or?
No, for the year.
Oh, well, the year.
They're you got to file a tax return.
Not paying anything.
Exactly.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
They're like, if a nickel is sold in the park, I want in.
Yeah. Well, they are kind of a mob.
You're selling cookies at school, you say?
I want in.
Yeah, don't tell your son. Keep it all down.
What are you talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
But yeah, it really, like you said, goes back to if you have a side hustle, or that you're doing that yourself, and then you want to transition into a business where you have employees or people that you can subcontract to,
sure,
and then you don't have to do as much yourself. So some of my ventures, I call them businesses, and others are just kind of passive income, things that happen on their own. So
are you do you do S corp, or what kind of? I'm an LLC.
So I've done LLCs before, and then I had like 4 or 5 different LLCs, and then I put them all underneath one umbrella because for tax purposes that was easier. And then to go to S corp was even better.
It is better. Yeah.
And then the step beyond that, you can go and put all that in.
I think.
Well, my next move is just to put everything into a trust after that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. Yeah.
So then you're kind of get everything covered.
Yeah.
So but and that was a whole learning experience because starting a business, everybody's like, yeah, you can just go here, get that, and you're good. Yep. And I had to really, search a lot of information out, and it's all available there for you. It's like if you really want to learn anything today, you have no freaking excuse not to know it.
It's all on YouTube, man.
You don't have
or somewhere on the internet, right? It's like
and you can run around on the internet for 20 minutes and you can get everything.
It did still, I'm not blaming my educational system because a lot of times I wasn't paying attention, but it would have been nice to be like, let them know how to start, how to get a business license when you need one. Right. That would have been an easy.
How to balance your bank account.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It's like 1040.
And God bless Pythagorean theorem and Archimedes screw and shit. God bless. But
it cracks me up every time I hear someone say, we should have these classes in schools. They do. It's called special ed.
Well, don't have them after lunch because I'm baked, bro.
Man.
They might have had them after lunch. I don't know.
You don't
I didn't learn anything about checking and whatever else. I think you were special ed classes. You should have been.
Then, I mean.
Yeah. So I think that's a great idea to bring that into the schools, because my daughter just got her first bank account. Well, we had a BECU savings account.
Yeah.
Only because they pay a big interest rate. You keep it under $500. So I was like, yeah, okay, we'll take that sucker to $490, and when it gets up, we'll take $10 out. We'll take $10 out.
Absolutely.
But we just set up a new USAA bank account for her, where she's going to have her own debit card and all that stuff. She doesn't have it yet, but I'm going to have to teach her how to go in, see how much money she's got, what she can spend it on, because there's going to be that embarrassment when she goes up to the cash register and it's like, sorry, you're declined.
I did that last year when I went to Winco and I got a cart full of stuff. I go to use my card and they say, we don't take credit cards. I was like, what?
What?
Winco doesn't take credit
just like a debit card. Why not?
They don't take credit card. They take debit, but they don't take credit.
That's interesting.
They just want their money right now.
Yeah, they don't want to pay the fee.
I don't know.
It's a co-op, so probably they don't want to pay any fees.
Winco. Yeah. I do like me some Winco, though.
So I was just like, are you kidding me? You're not.
I didn't have a credit card until like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
but get it back to what you said about businesses turn or a hobby turned to a business. I think the biggest thing is to know that when you have a hobby and you start investing a lot of time into it, you're going to learn so much about that hobby, and you're going to be like this specialist. And if you can monetize it, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's so many different ways to do that now. I mean, whatever you're into, there's like 90 other people that's into it minimum in your immediate circle,
right?
And the people I know didn't make me successful. It was all the people that I didn't know, and then once those people came to me, then my friends came back. It's kind of funny, but because your friends are kind of like, oh, you got that car, man. Oh, you fixing that car up? Oh, man, you're always trying to fix a car up. Like, oh, you sold that? Oh, you got another one? Oh, you kind of know what you think you know what you're doing. I do have a dealership, bro.
So you had to, because there's a limit to how many cars an individual can sell per year.
Yes.
Until you get licensed.
Until you get licensed.
Yeah, so
it's not many either.
No.
3.
Is it 3? That's it, huh? Okay.
Yeah, and then you got to put them in your kids' names, or don't register them.
Grandma, sign this title.
Not that I know the recipe to this, but yeah, it was. I went that route, and then finally I just said, you know what, let's just make it happen. One of the biggest things that or biggest feather in my hat that I'll say is back in the day I was going to school, and I didn't have a car. My dad sent me money to get a bike when I was working at Sears, so I got one right off the floor, was riding back and forth, and then not knowing Washington weather, it started raining on me. And I was like, dang, I'm on a bike raining, and this is awful. Dude. So I went and got a Volkswagen Rabbit. a 76 Volkswagen Rabbit.
They get like 55 miles of the gallon.
Man, I wish I still had that thing.
They're amazing.
And so I was on the bus and I seen it underneath the Georgetown Bridge, and it was like parked there. And every time I passed by it, I was like, dang, that car's still sitting there. So one day I just said, forget it. Can you cuss? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, fuck it. I'm getting off the bus. So I got off the bus and started knocking on doors around. Was like, hey, who owns that car? And it was like, oh, the lady over there. And I went and found her, and I was like, are you willing to sell that car? And she was like, give me $100.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll be right back. I didn't have $100 in my pocket at the time, so I had to save it. So I went back and got it, and then me and my buddy in his Grand Prix, we towed it back to my apartment. I pulled the motor out in the apartment complex, bought another motor for $125,
Nice.
and
Dropped
slid
it in.
that sucker in there and had it running in like 2 weeks.
Nice.
And so that started it off for me. So
Okay.
when I found that I was able to do that. And I didn't go to school, nothing. It was just like I'm swapping this motor for that motor,
Sure.
and disconnecting everything that I remember, and it started from there.
Just-
And so I painted it right in the parking lot, the apartment complex, and the apartment manager was
Apartment
like,
managers love that.
yeah, it's like, are you going to be? You can't do that.
You
I was
really
like,
can't do that.
It runs. I'm just
Yeah,
tightening it up, you know. I'll wait till everybody go to work, and then I'm like spray paint the side, all one color. I'm like, yeah, man. I rolled that thing till the wheels fell off. But that was my first venture into cars, and then from there, I just kind of had the belief that if it went together, it could come apart, and I could put it back. Yeah, so it just kind of took off from there.
What's been your biggest cap in your feather in your cap right now with Blackout? Have you found one that you got at a really good deal and then were able to turn it around?
I would probably say the one that I liked the most was the Honda Accord. I got a Honda Accord. And another story, right? You're like, this guy, get him out of here.
No, that's right. That's why you're here.
That's
Like,
part of the
literally,
reason
why you're
we
here.
do podcasts is to share stories.
Oh, you love me. Okay. They gave me the microphone.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so I was on this auction looking at cars, and I was like, man, everybody kind of identifies Hondas as a great rent a car, right? So I was like, you know what? Me personally, Hondas are okay, but I'm more of a Mercedes. I go after BMWs. My wife has the Panamera. I like those Euro trash cars, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go with Honda Accord. So I found it online, it said it ran and drive, went and picked it up in my tow truck, and it threw a rod straight out the bottom. Boom,
yeah.
done. I was like, dang. So I had this car. It looked great, but the motor was shot. So I was like, what am I going to do with it? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to find another car just like this one that was hit in the front. I could swap all the parts.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Went back to auction, found one, bought it right away, brought it home, swapped the parts. And things about the Honda Accord. This was a 2008. So the 2008 to the 2012, their parts are interchangeable. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I found another one. It was black, ran perfect, but it was hit in the front on the driver's side. And so it had this internal cage inside of it. And basically, I just cut it out. Just cut the whole frame of it out. I did it right in the driveway. And it was just like, hey, take the fender off. Oh, that's where you take out the headlights. Take the headlights out. Oh, that's just a radiator. Get that out of here. Oh, condenser. That comes out. It's sprayed everywhere. I was like, oh, I'm killing the ozone layer. I'm sorry.
Yes.
But took it out.
You're right above your house. There's
Right. It was like, I was like walking away, stumbling sideways.
Right.
I was like, wow, man, that's better than weed. But just took it all apart, and then I took this internal cage out, and then ordered another one from Honda, had it re-welded, and then put it all back together, had it repainted. That car came out sweet.
Nice.
And I was like, man, I want to keep it, but damn, I can't keep it. And I ended up selling it to a friend of mine. He had just turned 18.
All right.
And so his son picked it up. And I was really proud of that one. So that was cool.
Nice. So most of the cars you find are at auction or...
Yeah. Yeah. And there's some that from a private individual I'll find, and there's a BMW that I got. The motor was blown, and so I got that for a pretty good price, I thought. And then put another rebuilt engine into it, and then tighten up some other things, and then just put it back on the market.
And it's not an easy business to do, right? I mean, it's not. It sounds glorious, right? That you're going to go down to auction, you're going to buy this car,
right?
Trying to dissuade all your potential competitors.
Man, it's hard out there.
Yeah, you don't want to do this. It's hard work.
Know what you're looking, because you're getting it at an auction, so you don't have any idea what really the history is.
Yeah, there's a risk going on, right?
One of the shows I used to like to watch all the time was Count's Customs, and they would do stuff like that where they go and they'd find cars. They'd be driving around Vegas, and they'd find a car set on the side of the road, and hey man, would you think about selling it? And then you know they fix it up and make it look real nice, because it's you know they do all the custom paints and shit.
Right. Well, you got to have the resources. So that's the
and that guy has a hustle thing too, because not only does he have the custom shop, but he also has a bar and a tattoo parlor in Vegas.
All makes sense.
Yeah,
all makes sense.
Great,
So, I mean,
good for money laundering, really.
It's a cash business here.
And then on top of all that, he has a show on Discovery Channel.
Oh well,
but you know, he
had a show.
Yeah, because you have to have a yard, and I mean, a paint booth is a huge ordeal, right?
Like, you know, and that's the biggest thing. So you start building all these contacts, and you know, with any business, it's all about the relationship. You got to have a relationship with different people. You got to have a body guy, a paint guy, and you got to have a mechanic, a couple mechanics.
Yeah,
you know, then you got to have like a tranny shop that'll do this, or just a guy who's just going to do mufflers, you know. So you have these resources, and then you're able to put things together, and you can kind of guess how much money is going to go into a car. Like I know now, if I get a car that's hit on the front end and I want to get it back looking pristine, it's probably going to cost me about $3,000 to $5,000.
Sure.
I just off the top, I already know that.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a Rolls Royce, and then you're like, it's going to cost $3,000 for the paint.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The airbag is $5,000. Yeah.
Right.
The door handle.
$500 for the blinker.
Man, that's cheap.
Per blink.
I was per blink.
Man, per blink. Yeah, that sounds about more right. Yeah.
I thought I was aiming high too when I said $500 for a blinker.
Man,
no, it's a lot.
So
because I mean stuff like that. And I don't know. Like you said, the cool thing about the Accord is it was modular from 2008 to 2004. Right. But I don't know whether or not like a Rolls Royce would do that, or a higher end automobile. Do they bother with that kind of modular design?
Well, you know what I also found that is the chassis for a lot of these cars, like you know the Rolls Royce Culligan or Audi Q7, they have the same chassis. You know, like some of these they have the same chassis. So instead of,
because they come from the same factory,
right? Well,
did not know that.
Well, not the same factory, but they'll say, "Hey, instead of us making this chassis, let us just buy that from GM."
It's like body by Fisher.
Yes, and then they can like, okay, we'll just put our stuff on that chassis.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So some things are interchangeable, and then you really get into it, and it's like, okay, the frame is bent on this F-150. I'll just buy another F-150, and I'll just swap them, and I have one good one. Then I can just scrap that for $600, and then I have a brand new F-150. You know, so it's things you get into it, and you start looking at. It's kind of like looking at houses when you're into remodeling for a while. You're like, it's just drywall.
Right.
Sure.
It's drywall insulation.
Depending on it's interesting because sometimes you think you know what to expect, and they're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what a surprise. I don't like. So yeah.
Yeah, I worked at Shucks Auto Supply in downtown Seattle in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was this little Greek guy that had a night job. I think he was like cleaning the Swedish hospital or something. That was his night gig, right? And he would come down because he was a mechanic by trade back in Greece, but he sort of ran his unlicensed mechanic shop in the parking lot of Shucks Auto Supply, and all the taxi cab dudes would come down, and he would change brakes and change their oil and do all this stuff. But it was, I mean, the guy was making cash, hand over fist, all day long. You know, he'd have this big fat roll at the end of the day. Like, God damn, dude, I need to work for you.
A lot of tzatziki.
Yeah. Super nice guy.
But it's real work.
It is, yeah.
Well, you know, and it's funny you say that because when you have like a side hustle, sometimes it's better just to stay small and nimble instead of trying to go big.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's almost
It's got to
like
be a synergy if you're going to go big, right? The sum has to be bigger.
Would you call
employees.
any of the app related jobs like a side hustle, like Uber and like, you know?
well, a side hustle is just
food delivery stuff.
Well, a side hustle is just if you have a main job and then you have something else you're doing to generate some more income. So if it's you're going to do this after you get off work, you know, swinging a hammer all day, but there's other people who drive professionally for Uber, and they're just like, I do this. I wake up at 2:00 in the afternoon, clock in, and I'm working till 11 or 12 because that's when everybody's coming out of the airports.
I did a lot. I did that when Uber first came to Seattle. I rented a car because my car was too old to do Uber.
Right.
And it was costing me like $180 a week for the car.
Right.
And then insurance. And then
speaking of car rentals, I'm opening a car.
No, come on, man.
It goes together. I'm telling you. Yes.
I'm picturing Anthony at home in his room.
He's
video screens.
Anthony's house
with a Kirk's chair with little buttons. Is like, hey, get back to work.
Hey, what are you doing over there?
I'm sure Anthony's house looks nice and everything, and it looks unassuming. But underneath the first floor is Scrooge
McDuck's laboratory.
Scrooge McDuck's money bin is in his basement, and he's down there swimming in all the coins.
Like, oh, how good it feels to be rich.
So are you gonna? So you're gonna keep some of the cars that you?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Well, what kind of licensing? Is that a similar type of licensing?
It is. It is a similar license. I think the biggest part of it is the insurance piece.
Sure.
And so I'm really trying to automate it because I was actually when we go on. Like, I go back to California to see my family all the time. I'd love to get cars from Turo. So Turo is an online app that people put their cars up there for rent, their personal car, and then you just go and get them instead of going to like Enterprise or Hertz or whatever, right?
Geez, I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, and they'll like leave them at the airport, and all you gotta do is just go and they'll give you a code. You open a key box, and there's a car right there. And then when you're done with it, you take it back to the airport, put the key back in the box, and leave it. And that's it. So I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. I just want to cut out the middleman now.
Right.
So I researched it and found out that I can get a rental car license, and you have a certain amount of place that you can get, and then you can automate it the same way that they do on Turo, but you don't have to split the money. So with Turo, depending on what you want to do, they'll give you like 70% or 80%. But the liability is all put on you, but they still get a percentage of it just for having it on their
having the
platform.
networking.
Exactly. So typically, Uber is taking about 40% of most people's profits.
Steep too. It is
online.
That's steep.
And so I'm like, how can I not give you all the money?
Right.
and they take
all the risk.
Because I guess like you say, the insurance was on you, the liability was on you anyway. So
So I said, you know what? I'm just going to start my own rental car company. So I started.
Okay. Are you going to shoot for high end stuff since you like Mercedes and such? You going that route or just whatever people?
I'm going to start on the bottom first.
Sure.
I'm going to start with
minivans.
I'm going to start with minivans. And
I love minivans.
I had a 2006 Grand Caravan.
No, I'm telling you,
best
it's my dream
car
vehicle.
I think I've ever had, man.
Right.
That thing was awesome, and I used it for work. I had my
Yeah.
tools in the back.
Yeah, no,
the
right.
seats all folded down into themselves. Man, it was great.
I had one. I had a 1999 Pontiac Transport. You know, the one that looked like the one that looked like a dustbuster. You know.
Yep.
You know, or Shuttlecraft from Star Trek.
Yeah, probably ran forever too. But I think that it's good to just have that available because. I have so many cars that are on the lot, and then I have a few cars at home. And people always ask, "Hey, do you ever rent cars out? Can I rent a car from you?" And I'm like, "You ain't renting none of these, but I can get some."
You have a physical lot now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's out in Federal Way.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Blackout Motors is out there in Federal Way off of 356.
Yeah.
And so
Pack Highway or
It's off of I don't know what that street is.
I don't know. Yeah, what is it?
It's over by
not
Wild Waves, right about by the
right by the
Costco,
Enchanted.
right across the street from Lowe's.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's right across.
Yeah.
And so another thing, another jewel I'll drop for everybody. Get into the car industry. It's good to have people around you and network, right? So what I decided to do, instead of me going the big time route and getting my own lot right away, I went to where there's a shared consortium of dealers, and we're all in one building. So it's like 25 dealers that share this space.
Okay, that's
And so,
kind of a cool idea.
Yeah. So you're able to talk to people who's been doing it for many years. People who are just getting in. Some people just do it as a hobby, but they want to have the perks of buying from the auctions at a discounted price.
Be able to sell more than 3 cars. A year.
Yeah. And there's we have 2 mechanics out there, and so we have this huge lot. So
do you use that auction house? I think it's in Kent.
Manheim, yes.
I worked there as a security guard for about 8 months.
Oh, you were putting the tags on the car?
I was geotagging the cars at night just so they know where the cars
I
were located.
I love that system.
It was the funny thing about that job was like our little vehicle for doing our rounds would frequently break down all the time
because that lot is so damn big. That's why.
Yeah. So at one point they said, "Hey, you can use any of the cars in the lot, just put them back and then geotag them."
Right.
And so one night I was like, you know what? There's a Dodge Challenger right there. I can get the rounds done in like a couple minutes.
Right.
So I did. I totally took the Challenger, and it was not the small engine. It was
the Hellcat.
It was a
You're
Hellcat, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, oh, okay, no, I want one of these. I can't afford it, but I want one of these.
Well, the thing about those cars is, you get that rush. You start them up and your foot hit that pedal. You're like, oh,
goosebumps, man! Every time you rev those things up.
I went to Tombstone, Arizona, a couple Decembers ago.
Yeah,
and rented a Camaro. And I think it was the SS. I don't know the Camaro. It wasn't as fancy as the Hellcat and stuff, but it was a Camaro. You know,
right.
And we were taking that thing on dirt gravel roads. It's like
Dukes of Hazzard.
See, that's the thing about rental cars. You're gonna dog them. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna sign on the bottom end. If you can drift in this Sentra, this
drive it like you stole
1.6 liter, go ahead.
Isn't the line "drive it like you stole it"?
Oh, exactly.
Did you ever see? I don't remember which one it was, but one of the Jackass movies. They got an Enterprise rental car, and they didn't get the insurance because they were going to take it to a rally.
Oh man!
And they did
smash them up.
It just destroyed the car.
They just had to pay for it.
They got studio money.
Yeah. They gonna buy it anyway.
MTV, I think, probably ended up paying for that car.
Sure. That's some good content, though.
We're still talking about it.
What was even funnier is they had these inflatable dolls with gigantic boobs in the back seat the whole time, and they left those in the back seat of the car when they dropped off the car.
It was all just wrecked.
It was completely just mangled.
Nice.
Well, see, I've heard so many horror stories about having a nice car on like Turo or rideshare, and then somebody get in and they're like, "Let me see how fast this thing can go."
It's like having that really nice Airbnb and having a bunch of kids come in,
right?
Just destroy your house.
That's always that risk in the business, But like I said, I've had so many people come to me and they're like, hey, can I rent a car from you? I just want to keep a car for it. I'm like, nah, but it started kind of speaking for itself.
Sure.
So that's why I was like, you know what? Let me just look into getting a license. Let me look into how to automate this online. I know I can get these key boxes. What kind of car do I want to put up as a risk?
And that way it's not personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That way it is just strictly business. Like if something happens with the car, you just put an insurance claim and call it even, right?
I mean, I can make a $5,000 investment for a car that can potentially make me $2,000 a month if I rent it out. And then after 3 months, I'm like, if you destroy it, I'm just gonna go get another one.
Yeah, just sell it.
Sell it back to the auction man. Right?
Back to the auction.
Oh yeah.
We're like, give me $2,000. I'll get it. I just want another one.
I didn't see. No, you're just making me feel like my hustle. I'm just not doing it right. Like he's playing the Midas touch. Ding, 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 ding.
So like the following week at that job, there was a Dodge Viper in the lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I want to drive this. And I open it up. I was like, I'm not going to fit behind the wheel. I am too fluffy for this car.
Well, you know, the Viper is like the car that everybody is getting to get up to like 2,500 horsepower. They're like
V12, doesn't it?
Or 10,
right? I think it's a 10 or 12, but they're like modern.
They're not making that anymore.
No, they're not making it anymore.
No. But they did put that motor into like a Jeep or something, didn't they? When Chrysler owned Jeep for like 3 years.
They got the Trailhawk now, and that's 1,100 horsepower.
That's insane.
It's crazy,
dude. That's more than like a P-51 Mustang airplane. You know what I mean?
So,
it's like,
let me ask you guys
all
this.
of my cars in my history had about 1,100 total.
Might know this. When did the Hummer become popular again? Because I started seeing them in the last few months.
Oh, again?
Well, which one? Which one are you?
I think it's either the H2 or the H3. It's not the LG one.
Break for them, right? Just like those big Mercedes.
It's like $2 a gallon, you know.
Well, you know, if you don't drive them every day, I think it's cool.
I
like that Arnold Schwarzenegger one though. That was pretty badass.
The one with the turret on the top, the machine gun.
They're super wide, and
I want the camo brown one from Fort Lewis.
But you don't see rednecks don't take those crawling. Right, so I don't know how nimble they actually are, because you see them just in remember the Suzuki,
right?
They just felt like 10, ding, 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 ding.
That's the 3.
Turn them into crawlers. They're insane. Yeah, the 3. I guess the original Humvee was a military.
Well, the original one was a military vehicle that they just added leather seats and AC to it.
Yeah, and that's
Bailey was always, when he was in the Army, his crew always made him be the driver. He was always having to drive the Humvees around.
Yeah, that's a good gig.
I was like, dude, you need to get in the Striker. That's what I want to drive.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, which we suddenly discovered the armor on the Striker was shit and had to completely redo them. Yeah.
So we were doing a project in Fort Lewis, and it was a mock city, right? So they built this small city in the middle of Fort Lewis. It was all these concrete block buildings, right? And they didn't have any windows, but there was one 3-story building, which was like the town hall. There was a gas station on the edge of town. There was a farm on the edge of town. There was all these culverts and stuff. And it was basically just so the soldiers could come in and learn urban warfare.
Right.
And every one of the buildings had microphones and cameras and everything, so that when, your sergeant's taking you through and you're clearing the building and all that stuff, they could, monitor your stuff. So our job was terminating all of the cable, all the microphone cable, the camera cable, all that stuff. And they had these explosion-proof data cabinets in the back of the buildings, and we just had guys sitting back there terminating all these, banana connectors and RCA connectors and all that stuff for just days, right? But while we're on site, they said you are part of the training. So if you look up and see a soldier, they can scan you, which means you're just walking down the street and you look up and
do a threat assessment. Oh man,
trailing you with their rifles, right? So one day
some
I
of
go
us
down.
call that Tuesday.
Oh, my ass would be so tight. I'd be like,
exactly. So one day I'm
That's when
leaving.
you come to work wearing a red shirt and a bullseye on the back.
So one day I'm taking off. I can go down, visit the guys, bring them some parts, whatever I was doing. And I was leaving in my Jeep, and I get behind one of those Strikers, right? And I'm keeping in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm loving this job, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this Striker just stops, and I have to kind of come up behind it, and the turret just right into my windshield. And I'm just like,
dive out.
And we stood there for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes just looking at
That's
this.
a long
and I'm just like,
3 minutes.
Oh my god!
yeah, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, guys. You know, and then
I think they were saying
saying
you're following too close,
Maybe,
Chuck.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
All I know is that's Pentagon money, dude. Charging double. Pentagon money, limitless.
I had to Google Striker because I didn't know what the hell you guys were talking about. I was like, oh my god, dude! Yeah, I would not want to pull up behind one of those.
Yeah. They did do a training while we were there, and they had so we're just walking down the street and we're talking about what needs to be done still, me and my foreman, and all of a sudden we see just a line of soldiers come out of the woods, and they go into one of those giant culverts. They come up out of the other side, and you start looking around. There's soldiers coming in this way. All of a sudden, a Black Hawk comes over, and all these guys are rappelling down to the top of the
22 dudes in there.
yeah. It was nuts.
Plus the flight crew.
Plus the flight
22
crew.
dudes.
Yeah,
It's insane.
And they're throwing smoke bombs, and we're just like, are we supposed to be here today?
Not
the
feeling
hell's going
terribly,
on?
yeah.
I'm just trying to go home.
I'm just
Man.
man. Yeah, no.
Charged
it
them
was
triple.
I was
Interesting
just
day at
looking
work.
for a bathroom.
That's how most international incidents begin. I just had to go pee-pee, bro.
I have a
Cross
small
the border,
bladder.
Mike. You crossed the border.
Dondo está, casa de Pepe? Can you show me to the house of Pepe?
Bring you a shoe with cheese on it.
Oh man.
That's a Steve Martin thing.
I love Steve Martin.
Yeah. What about your guys', your parents' generation? So for us, I mean, I feel like I've bounced around. I've been pretty good about staying at jobs for years and years.
Right.
I feel like my dad got a job, came out of the Navy, got a job in like 61, 62, and he was there until he retired,
Right.
At 64 or whatever time he retired.
I think
I
that's
know
the key
you're
to
like
it right there.
opening new businesses every other day.
Yeah.
Mike, you've
but
had your coffee shop, you've had contracting.
But still, I think the difference, and knowing what I know now, right, I would have got a job that had a pension.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't really
If they
play
do
well
that
like that
anymore,
either,
right?
Right, but that is the difference, right? I
Yeah.
think people, got out of the military or out of high school or
Right.
whatever, college, and thought that they could go into that kind of an industry or whatever. They had a pension or a retirement of some kind.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
but that's much more rare these days. Hopefully, like you say, with the re-emergence of the trades,
Right.
and it doesn't have to be union, although unions are democracy in the workplace.
Don't mind unions.
Yeah. So hopefully, with that reawakening of trades, et cetera, we can see, like a pension-based system come back.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge with having, create your own business or whatever. You kind of give that, security, that 401k kind of
security.
thing. Like your
That's-
parents,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
worked one place forever, get their retirement, and that's that. But on the other side of it, most times when people are working that long and then they do retire, they die in
They
like
die anyway.
3 to 5 years because they
Yeah.
stop
That's my
dad.
moving.
Yeah.
That's
You
my
know?
old man. I mean,
So-
he,
Yeah. No, it's
he
awful.
wasn't
It's
super
awful.
healthy, but
No.
he retired 2 years later. They're on a trip in Tahiti. He's snorkeling.
Yeah, having the time of his life.
Having the time of his
Yeah.
life. They think a wave came up over him and he choked and panicked, had a friggin' heart attack in the ocean.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Tahiti.
Although,
I mean,
geez,
worst places to
yeah,
go,
for
I
sure.
suppose.
Like a hospital bed
But,
for 6 months or something terrible, right? It's like,
But they got
he was a
him
cool
into
kid.
the boat,
Yeah.
man, and just so happened that the excursion he was on, there was 2 couples. All 4 of the other people were heart surgeons.
Wow. Like,
And they
all
sat
y'all
there-
are bad at your
They
job.
sat there and worked on him all the way, but
Well,
couldn't revive
yeah.
him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, crazy times.
Yeah, it's a drag.
Crazy
Well,
times.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, in just that fact, that statistic that people die soon after retirement is what keeps me angry. Right, and that anger keeps me sharp and direct.
Right.
That's the fuel to my hustle.
Mike's never gonna die.
because I'll come back as a Scooby Doo ghost. And, quit your job. Quit your
That
job.
would have gotten away with it too
Yeah.
for you meddling
Oh,
kids.
yeah, man. Because it's like, that's no way. Our existence is much more valuable than that.
I agree.
Right?
I
And so by being entrepreneurship is a type of creation. Right? And so and just recently, I had a death in the family, and it's been bothering me. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm having an existential thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why? The big why. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think creation is the why.
Absolutely.
So what form does that creation take for us as individuals?
Well, and that's what I said about the innocence of being an entrepreneur and staying creative, and it keeps me at that youthful mind state where I'm always creating, I'm always wondering, I'm always asking questions like a 4-year-old. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No,
what does that
hallelujah.
mean? Why?
No,
And I'm, it's my own personal self just kind of being reaffirmed that you can still learn. You can still do different
things. If you allow yourself, because that's a humble nature.
And
right?
I know your family too, man. Your wife is fantastic. Amber is a great lady, and and she's active as hell too.
Yeah,
because she's out not only working, but she's a PTA mom. Yep. She does a lot of stuff with the city, volunteers constantly. She's out running friggin' 5Ks every time I flip into Facebook,
and I will support her from the sideline.
right on.
And you guys got a couple of great kids, but without that support system, that probably wouldn't go as well.
It's tougher,
right? And that's the other thing. I kind of took the stance that your family is a business, and if you handle the business, it's easy to be in love. So we kind of run off of that, and it's not always smooth, but we find what we do well, and we kind of stay within that. Now, what I can say is that what you have when you are at a corporate job, you have the luxury of having people around you as a support system.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can go down the hall and be like, "Hey, Charles, I don't know about this spreadsheet."
No, don't come for me with this advice, man. I checked out.
Yeah. And then you go to the next office down the hall. But you have that support system there for people to bounce things off of.
Yep.
But when, I'm out doing the business and she's supporting the business, when she runs into a roadblock, she checks out sometimes. She's just like, well, you know what? I got other stuff to do.
You figure it out.
Yeah, you figure this is all your shit anyway. You're like, you do these taxes, motherfucker.
Bomber. Yeah.
So but it's a balance though. You have to be able to say, what can my significant other do, and what can I allow them time to do, and say, okay, well, you can do this, but you don't have to do all of that.
Yeah.
So
is she pretty involved with the businesses?
Absolutely. Yeah. She's hands on with everything.
That's awesome.
She's really helped me to. She gets processes more. I'm a doer, so I'll just be like, start another LLC right now. I got an idea.
Jenkins right here.
I'm going to make some pillows right now.
Amber's back there going, okay, let's figure this out.
Settle down.
Yeah, what are the nuts and bolts of it?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a good mix then, right? That's a good combination.
Absolutely it is.
You're going to have your own version of the My Pillow.
Right. This right
Oh, man, I forgot about that guy.
You can probably buy that company in a little
for
bit.
$8 and a pack of smokes.
Dude, I just saw a commercial for him yesterday, and it was literally like he's now doing like blankets and
it's just interesting.
And linens and stuff to go with your My Pillow.
Well, I think that the best part about being an entrepreneur is coming up with an idea to develop the business. But what I really like is like the branding, the marketing. I love that part.
That's fun stuff. Yeah.
Just because I was. One of my past jobs, I was a graphic arts designer, and then my dad was a commercial artist.
Okay,
right on.
So he's always had his own business. He was in the Army. He got out and he went to what is graphic arts design? I don't know, some kind of school.
Yeah. Sure.
But what was weird? He failed lettering.
No,
because you had to do it all by hand.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
back
in the day, all by hand. And so he practiced so much that he became one of the best sign painters in LA.
Jeez, that's great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I came up underneath him, just working in his shop and doing all that stuff. So graphic arts was something that was a really easy transition for me after working with my dad all those years. So nice. I got really into logos and designing and all that stuff, and got all these programs. And so I was just kind of like, whenever I come up with something, I'm always thinking, how is that going to look?
Yeah. How would Dad do it?
Yeah. What would Dad do?
What would Dad say? Yeah. Is he still around? Is he still with us?
No, he passed. Yeah. So, but it's just that whole design of the logo, how it's going to look, keeping it simple, minimal colors, things like that.
Yeah.
Got
to make it readable. That's the one thing I noticed because I'm married to a graphic designer, right?
Right.
So every time now I go places, I'm like, I can't read that sign from across the street. I did it wrong, right?
Yep.
It's the cursive's too much, the angles,
like the box of flickering lights that says flicker, but it looks like it says fucker because of the font choices they made.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're sticking it to the box. That's great, though.
See if I can find that.
But you do see it once in a while. It's like, and that's neat because it's not just aesthetics. There's a psychological component, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like because they're trying to instantly get your message across and make them either feel something or not feel something.
Books about colors that make people feel a certain way. And, how many angles, the direction of the letters, everything points to, bringing in that business. It's just, creating that mood for your customers.
Yeah, so it kind of, goes back to one of my recent projects that I worked on was the towing business. So it was a spinoff from the dealership, but I wanted to make it separate. So the new towing business is called Tow You Right Now. So it's simple, direct, and it's your turn. So it's Tow You Right Now, turn. So a little spin on that, right? You like that? You like that? You like that?
Yeah, that's good thinking.
I come up with some good stuff sometimes.
So you got Tow You Right Now. Is that towyouRightNow.com? Is there a website for that?
Absolutely.
And then there's blackoutmotors.com as well.
Yeah,
No, that's 247.com. Because you know what? I came up with this blackout.
Seriously, you got 247.com.
No, Blackout Motors.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, wow, man, that's some serious luck right there.
Nah, man, that was taken.
That's probably 20 grand right there.
Yeah, right there. Right
Dude, the website I use for all my domains, I only know about it because I worked for the company that ran that site, and it's either way. I sometimes will go in there and just type in a keyword and search and see what kind of domains I can find for whatever, and you'll see like was it I'm trying to think of an example, but they have like the top level domains of like .rocks or
Oh yeah, they're out there.
They got all the pieces.
So then when you're looking at and you type in John whatever .live and it's available, but it's going to cost you $250,000. Like okay,
some of those guys that got out early in the
I kind of remember that there was an iCopyright with
dude, one of the guys that is a part of the whole QAnon thing. He started off as a web guy, and he bought Pokemon.com, and it was a gay porn site, and what was
Pokemon?
And so like
not as subtle as Tow You Right Now, not nearly as subtle.
And he goes, yeah, no, I don't own that domain. That Nintendo owns that.
Oh God!
Because they sued him for it.
Wow!
They sued him for it.
Every time I log into Hotmail.com, I always think, well, I could do Hotmail.com.
I'm sure it's already been done, Chuck.
I'm sure. I've got a picture of Todd up there.
Yeah, I would not be on the cover of Hotmail.com.
Not with that attitude, young man.
Not with this body, I wouldn't.
There's people who like fluffy guys. Don't rule yourself out now.
Definitely. No,
where the fuck are they? Seriously.
In a bear bar, basically.
Except for I'm not into dudes, man. What the fuck?
You asked where they were. I didn't.
Yes, I know I could easily be a bear, but no, I am not gay.
You're like, nah. I still have faith.
I don't like penis, Mike.
I didn't say you did, man. I didn't.
Sometimes you just like to cuddle.
Yeah.
Good.
You can be a professional cuddler. There you go.
People do that, actually. It's
that's
nuts.
a side hustle.
Right.
Well, you're not actually hustling, right? You're actually resting.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
That is a side hustle because you're having to hold on to the side.
Exactly.
Oh, man, I'm glad there's enough niches for everyone, right? It's like, that's what makes the world.
If you can't find it now, you ain't looking.
Right. Yeah. What are some weird side hustles that you guys have heard about?
Oh man.
Jeez, I don't know.
Besides the cuddling one, right?
Well, you know,
And
it was weird. Well, the weird one for me that I heard of was people posting pictures of feet and making money off of that.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
like,
a fact.
what?
And squish videos, which
The
I joke
wife
about a lot.
and the
That's
kid
my
and I have
homecoming.
talked about the foot thing, man.
Like, what is-
and I said, I'm happy to take pictures of my feet and put them up there. People are going to pay for them. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, the money part of that's the good side. Right? I don't want to think into somebody's psychology at all, right?
I like to know how people doing ASMR make money.
What's
I
that?
don't know what that is.
You don't know? Okay, it's when they talk real soft to the mic and they sit there and they stroke.
What?
Is that a thing?
And they
crinkle a bag of chips. or
and they get like a bag of chips, or they get some other thing that has a, kind of a weird sound if you put it right up to the mic, and they just move real slow with it and they talk real light. And yeah, it is super creepy to watch. I don't know.
People do it. I mean,
But it's an audio thing, right?
It's an audio, but people do it on video too.
Yeah. I mean, we do our episodes average about 1,000 apiece, right? On YouTube. So
Are you
sometimes,
lying
but
to
these guys are
1,000?
like 30 million views. It's like,
I know. Like, all he's doing is crinkling the potato chip bag.
We're doing the wrong
Yeah,
thing,
no,
guys.
seriously.
I got content. This dude is
Seriously,
crinkling
just
the bag.
go onto any video website like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram and search for ASMR.
Man, and then it'll start, everything will start popping up on your shit. Like,
In honor of Anthony and his hustles, we need to step our game up. So I think after the end of every episode, we need to start doing a little ASMR
Oh no!
and just test it out. Do like
where it goes.
a 3-minute video with just crinkle.
Todd clearing his throat because his
now that's good radio. Oh, man. Oh, that was real. Yeah.
All right, man. 'Tis the season.
Yeah. That big, ladies and
real
gentlemen.
flammy over there.
that's
No, that was real.
that's mostly asthma and just horrible like weather.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
are we
mucus.
getting into the Canadian smoke? Does anybody know?
That's on the East Coast.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck 'em.
So Jamal posted a photo of it today,
Bummer.
and he's like, "Blame Canada," and it just shows like this, like the. You know the filtered sepia or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of his photos look like that, but there was no filter.
No, it's awful.
Dang.
It's awful. But I mean, yeah.
we
I mean,
lived through that.
No, yeah, no, not to put too fine of a
3 or
point
4
on it, but
summers
this is
in a
the
row.
beginning, kids. So, no, it's not going to get better.
Yeah,
And
it's not gonna get
remember, not so long ago, they were making fun of the tree huggers. That's just like, who was right? Oh, the tree huggers.
The tree huggers.
Right. And,
got 'em.
and the same greedy sons of bitches are the ones who did, hundreds of millions of acres of monoculture, right? This terrible, just tear down all of the fucking trees at once.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those were the profiteers then, who then lied to us that none of this
All right,
bad
you
shit
guys,
was going on.
Wait.
Off the landslides.
We're going to do
Yeah.
inflatable helmets over with just a little filter.
Is that what? Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, what the hell? Right?
Yeah, you see them for like
Pull it out
emergent
of
people
your
getting out of
purse.
skyscrapers and fires. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Those fire hoods? They exist.
Remember during
But man.
the January 6th insurrection, they gave the Congress people those little.
Oh, just in case they're going to get gassed or whatever.
They thought
Yeah.
they might get gas.
No, because those guys are trying to take over our government, man.
Yeah.
Fuck the fascists. Fuck them. Every time. Fuck them.
Right in the
Not into
ass with a razor
Well, not
blade
into it,
dildo.
man. No, move somewhere else. Move to Russia, boys. Get out of here, right? We don't need you. Bye-bye.
Oh, man.
I love him, melting pot.
I did hear today that Mark Meadows, the report is that Mark Meadows has pled guilty or is going to plead guilty and testify against Trump.
Oh, that'd be
Wow.
delicious.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Man.
It's just a report right
Here's
now.
an
I won't
example of what I was talking about. This right here.
Key lime parks.
Oh, my God.
That is the worst font to use for this period.
It depends on
You'll
what you're
have to
shooting
send
for.
me that picture, Todd, and
that's
I'll
great.
put it right.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Have they seen the IKEA one is bad, or that's just an example of IKEA?
Let's save that image,
That's
and I'll send
That's
it
funny.
to Chuck later.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, it just It's like and there was also a thing about like when you're picking a domain name, you got to be careful because therapy.com, if you read it wrong, looks like therapey.com.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a whole nother.
You know,
What are you coming in for?
Yeah.
Right over here. He's in the back waiting for you.
It's like that Monty.
The gimp mask.
It's like that Monty
the
Python bit where they're like, "Are you here for the argument?" Yes. No, you're not. Yes, I am. But
My goodness.
it's so funny.
Oh my God, the English is an odd language sometimes.
Well, that's one thing. When I'm trying to get a brand and I'm trying to put it together with the graphics and everything, you kind of have to know what you're going for. When you think about that name, it's not something that you're just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna call it the Red Hammer, and I'm like, well, what does that look like?
Let's talk about the hammers that care.
Oh,
Yeah, so is that even going to be even better than I think it is in my mind, where it's like the charity stuff?
Well, I originally when I started I decided to go into the construction industry. I just didn't want to be labeled as one of those slime balls.
Oh, sure.
I was just like, man, I'm not one of those guys. I want to do great work. I care about what I'm doing.
Oh, all right.
You use a hammer to build stuff, so it was like hammers that care. And I said it out loud, and it is stuck. I just said, I'm gonna roll with it, and it was everything was available too. Like it was an original name. The domain was available, the email was available, everything was just available, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna roll with it.
Kismet, right? Yeah.
And so it's evolving to a nonprofit organization.
Right on.
So
Nice.
I want to. My long term goal is to, and actually, I'm trying to fold two businesses into one right now, where I want people to donate their cars, and so I'll take their car and I'll either sell it or I'll recycle it, and I'll take those funds and I want to purchase like shoes for people just getting into construction. They don't have those shoes, or they don't have the tools. They don't have
a tool
drills. They don't have a belt.
Then you need to get that jingle like Cars for Kids, man.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But it's gonna be. Something.
Now that's stuck in everyone's
Especially
head.
if it goes,
Like,
from A to B. It's a great idea.
Hammer,
Yeah.
I care. Hammer, that cares. Maybe something like that.
Dude,
That might go over good.
I'm sure MC Hammers out there need to pay.
You're like, give me my money, who?
yeah, get Mr. T. There you go.
T, man.
I pay the food who don't buy these food.
Oh, yeah. What about Cameo? Can you have them do ads for you on Cameo?
You talked about
You kind of can. I mean, unless they specify they won't do any kind of,
Gilbert Gottfried
commercials.
doing Mr. T.
Right.
doing Angela Lansbury.
Doing Angela Lansbury saying hammers that care.
So
Yeah, maybe like,
there-
who is that?
there have been a couple
Mrs.
times.
I don't know that bitch.
There have been a couple times where I'm like playing a phone game or whatever, and it has those stupid ads that take up the entire screen, and all of a sudden I have Snoop Dogg talking to me about another game that cashes out
And
or
you
whatever.
talking about somebody who got
Snoop.
side hustles?
Yeah.
Snoop is everywhere.
Ridiculous.
And like wasn't
a
it just
good
way. He's
in
got a
this
big
last year that
family.
he bought the record label that's launched his career?
Yeah.
Man, the
Death
Death
Row
Row
Records?
record.
Death Row.
Did he
Yes.
buy Death Row?
Yeah,
I
he
didn't know. I didn't know that.
He bought Death Row.
Oh, my
Yes.
God. His suit
And I think he got all
away
the
right
master
now.
tapes,
Yeah,
right?
they got the masters.
Oh,
and all
geez, good
that.
for him. I don't know. I trust that guy's judgment.
He did that right before he was on I think he bought Death Row right before he was on the halftime show for the big football game.
Well, I look at him as like it's kind of like an opportunist in a way. It's like if you have an opportunity to create something that you can capitalize on for 2 to 3 years, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And he got a lot of good ideas for like cross pollination from Martha Stewart, I think, because now you see him everywhere in commercials.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But you got to
And
respect
I think
the
that's
guy
an
too.
agent too, right? Because once your agent tells everybody that you're available and you're hot and blah blah blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah,
He
you
was-
get work, right?
For like the past 4 years,
And he shows up.
I think 3 or 4 years, we've been seeing him in the Corona videos, Corona
Yeah.
commercials.
Right,
I
right.
didn't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something that he can show up for one day and film a bunch of.
Oh yeah.
And be very high while doing it.
Yeah,
Man.
Well, probably. But this is because this guy runs a football program, a huge football program down in L.A.
He's put so many kids in the NFL. It's crazy.
Exactly.
And the
more
college.
than anybody else, right?
Yeah. So,
into college football programs and the NFL.
That's incredible.
They're going to sue him for CTE later.
Yeah, probably. But
Snoop did this to me.
But he gives out scholarships for his program to kids that can't, they can't go out and buy a helmet and pads. And all that. He does it for them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Great evaluator of talent. He's got great coaches around him. Man, I have
right on.
total respect.
He even did a comedy special where he
that roast.
Well, it wasn't a roast. He did a comedy special where he wasn't doing comedy. He had comedians he wanted to show off to people.
Right.
So he was,
he's like, check out this guy.
He's got his platform.
This guy's fucking hilarious. You should check them out. And in between, in between the comedy bits, of course, he would do a little bit of hip hop or whatever.
So Snoop Dogg are top of the hustle king. Is he the man?
I would think so.
Martha Stewart, maybe right there.
I don't know much about Martha Stewart at all.
Yeah, but she's got a lot. I think she's been influential in the things that she's done, and I'm pretty sure she's got a ton of businesses. But I think if you can start a business, develop it, and even sell a business, that's something.
That's the dream.
Build
it up, and then are you kidding me?
I'm retiring.
Come on, man.
Speaking of Death Row Records, Dr. Dre created Beats by Dre and then sold it to Apple.
Yeah, for like 300 million.
Billion.
Something
crazy, ridiculous.
Billion.
No,
not billions of dollars.
Yeah, I think it was like $1.2 billion.
Yeah. He
had a business partner, but
I prefer both
together, man.
No offense, Dr.
Sorry,
Mike. We're not going to get the ad revenue. Well, maybe Bose will.
The other thing that celebrities are doing is like putting their name on an alcoholic company,
the tequila stuff.
Because Americans
Sammy Hagar has his Cabo Wabo, and Dan Aykroyd has his Crystal Head vodka.
Yeah, and Snoop's got murder, or he does ad campaigns for some type.
He's got that wine, man.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if that's his or if that's.
I don't know. He's on
just an ad campaign.
Snoop.
No.
He's got wine.
I heard it's okay, but
I'm
not a wine drinker.
I don't really drink alcohol, period. But I bought the bottle of that Crystal Head vodka because it was a Crystal Head.
Oh yeah. And it's Dan Aykroyd, right? It's like, come on, it's Dan Aykroyd,
right?
Yeah, if you put your wine in a little figure of yourself, I will buy that.
That would be cool.
Dude,
proudly.
And it can turn into a bong later.
Oh my God! See, this is why
There you go. Here you go. Here's one.
Snoop, you owe me.
Snoop Dogg.
Right out of your dreads. Not that I know that sound or anything.
Snoop Dogg action figures that each limb turns into a blunt.
Oh my
God.
Man.
Smoke Snoop.
I like the wine bottle
there's a
that
connection
turns
with that
guy. That's pretty dope.
Oh my God.
Any alcoholic beverage that you can turn into a water pipe, right?
Well, I mean, I can make a bong out of any three objects on the planet.
Well, that's because you're a carpenter, man.
Yeah. I got a PhD.
Give me that curtain over there. I'm about to make a bong.
It's got a roll of type, bro.
Dude, I think I was in the I think my class was the last class in wood shop where kids were actually making bongs out of things.
Oh my God.
In wood shop class.
Class. Maybe get busted,
it doubles as a baseball bat, but it's a really large bong.
But I think that's one of the things that's kind of missing is like, by saying small, you just have fun with it, and some things you don't want to monetize it. You let it grow organically. I mean, if you're really good at something and people enjoy it, but they're gonna find you.
But then you get those Karens like, are you supposed to be doing this here?
Well, say fuck you.
Say maybe am I supposed to not be doing?
Get off my grass, bitch.
like the woman who was freaking out because some kid was making lemonade on their front lawn. Get the fuck out of here with that shit,
man. That kid is making lemonade, and
Yeah, for what I know what the going rate is, that $1 glass or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, people get uptight about
I have
the
a
wrong
special
shit.
glass for
They
you,
really do.
Karen. Hold on, let me fill it up for you.
I will say
Yeah,
this,
I've got a yellow liquid for you. Kid.
my daughter and her friend and the little sister
little warm,
wanted to
though.
do a lemonade stand.
Right.
They got the idea we're going to sell it. I think it was like Kool-Aid or something they were going to do, right? They spent all day making signs and coloring all the signs and everything. And by the time they were ready to set the sucker up, it was like getting dark.
Nighttime, yeah.
Spent all your time and
What is
effort.
the lesson we learned, young people?
Now that's
Time
marketing,
management.
honey.
They spent all their budget on marketing.
Like, hey, we got no product. We got a bunch of signs.
Yeah.
Well,
We need an
That's fine
investor.
anyway.
Now, all you gotta do now is create a social media post and then boost it and say, yeah, I'll be on this corner selling these flavors of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
That's the advantage the kids have nowadays. They have social media.
Yeah, that's true.
For better, for worse.
Yeah, we just yelled.
And you know, we really have to blame ourselves for it because our generation created everything that we're complaining about for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
sure.
We created.
Yeah.
We created the internet. We
and-
created
yeah.
all these apps. They're just taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And they're smarter than us.
and they're smarter. I mean,
And they're, because they've adapted to
They've
that
adapted
technology,
well,
right?
yeah.
But
yeah. So
Yeah.
you know, they're running with a whole new mindset when it comes to business. You know, and
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't-
I would think that kids now, there's so many different ways for them to make money. They're just like, well, I'm just gonna go back to TikTok. Fuck it.
I guess, yeah.
This is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
yeah, no, we had lawn mowing, paper
Yeah.
routes,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Man, I was
Getting
trying to
yelled
teach
at by
kids
my
all
dad.
of that. I was like, man, you can go out here. I did this for one summer and probably made like about $4,000 painting numbers of the
on the-
house.
Like
on
a
the
dress,
curb?
yeah.
Yeah, the curb. Oh
That's a good
man,
idea. Yeah.
cleaning up.
Yeah.
And that was just something I was doing with my construction.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll paint the curb for you. Like, how much? I don't know. What are you doing? $40. Yep.
Yeah.
Give me that paint in the back.
Yeah.
I'll do that
Man.
right now.
Years ago,
Get your
me and a
stencil.
buddy of mine decided we were going to try to make some money for buying Christmas presents by making wreaths out of like
Oh.
branches that have fallen out of the trees
Yeah.
nearby.
That's
so
how
we
you do
weren't harvesting anything. We were just picking it off the ground and making it look presentable and
So
adding.
some Karen came running over. Don't touch my
Yeah, yeah.
branches.
No, this is back in the 90s, so Karens weren't even a thing back then. At least they weren't called Karens back then. But I'm sure that's probably why we stopped.
They were
because
Marthas.
They were Becky's. Come on.
Becky's.
Becky's. I actually saw somewhere that Becky is like a young.
Becky's are cool. It's Karen's you don't want.
No, Becky's are like the girls at the mall that become Karens.
Oh yeah.
The disgruntled,
Yeah.
disgruntled Becky's turned into Karen's.
You know, the girl who didn't get onto the cheer team or whatever.
Oh, man.
Piss for life.
Well, I don't know. I got a black belt minding my fucking business.
All right.
So I know I don't necessarily expect the rest of society to do that, but I sure appreciate it when I do it.
Yeah.
Let people do their thing, man. Life
Yeah,
is
leave them
short.
alone, yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't need to get advice from me unless they ask for it, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's like, if somebody needs help, hallelujah, right? If somebody needs assistance, advice, whatever, I'm in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not until they ask me.
Like I ain't volunteering for nothing.
Yeah.
I was in the Navy. I know. I ain't volunteering.
How long were you in the Navy for?
4.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Did my time.
What were you stationed on?
I was stationed first in Adak, Alaska.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Adak, wow.
Adak on a Aleutian chain there. You know. it
Dude,
was-
I
Pretty
recently
desolate.
watched a documentary series about Adak where there was supposedly gold coins buried out on Adak somewhere.
yeah, they ain't there.
You dropped.
They ain't
Tell me more. Yeah.
Seriously though, they found it was a coffee can filled with coins.
I don't know. Somebody put that there and
That's good TV.
dug them up for TV.
Oh yeah. 'Cause, how long's the
That
what's
is a
the island
military
one?
base.
Not Plum Island,
Well,
but
'cause
the
it's like it's retired now, right? 'Cause-
Yeah, it's retired now. It was
Oak
it's a
Island?
military base.
Yeah, Oak
it's
Island's
only
been
4
30
miles.
seasons.
Yeah, it's only 4 miles all the way around it. I jogged it.
yeah.
I was like,
No,
this is it.
it was
This is it.
Ever on a ship or anything?
Yeah, I was on. I moved from Adak, Alaska, then went to the USS Sacramento right here out of Bremerton.
Yeah.
And then I went over to the Reuben James, and I also was on the Nimitz for a period of time.
Yeah, Nimitz, a nuclear vessel.
Yeah,
that's for real.
aircraft
That thing's
carrier.
gigantic.
Yeah, those are in Alameda, I think.
Yeah. So but that was my the Reuben James was the fast frigate that was the one when you
This is
can
Star
walk
Trek
on
reference,
the walls of the ship when it's rolling.
Dang.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
serious.
no
business.
Yeah, the Nimitz. That was the ship that had the Tic Tac sighting back in 2004. The video that's now been declassified and it's all over the fucking internet.
What video?
There was
Like
a video that was
weird
recorded
UFO, yeah.
from from planes off of the Nimitz,
Yeah.
and they caught this thing, and it was just they said it was shaped like a Tic Tac. It didn't have any services or like wings or anything, no engines that were visible, and it was just cruising along, and they were following it. If you haven't seen this, do a search for a UFO Tic Tac video, and you'll find it.
All right.
It is, but the guys who saw it were from the Nimitz.
Oh wow, yeah, it was crazy. Was kind of the most interesting thing, and where I think all my work ethic kind of came to like a climax was where we were on the USS Sacramento, which is a supply ship. So we would have 2 aircraft carriers around us at all times because we were like the floating 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
We had ammunition, we had food, and then we had
A rack of lamb
food,
in the back.
fuel.
Oh, yeah.
So you pull up the side of us, and we was just sending all these
He had
rations,
the 8mm bootlegs of your favorite videos.
all of that. We was just sending them back.
And how, what is the, I mean, I guess the short version, how do you get heavy shit from one boat to another?
Man,
How do you
it's
even do that?
crazy, man.
Yeah.
They would have these winches. They shoot over a rope, and then that rope would carry back a
All right.
cable,
Yep.
and then another cable would wrap around the sides of these big winches on the side of the boat.
Yeah.
And then they just start sending all kind of stuff back.
Big crates.
like a
and
messenger
everything,
wire
Yeah.
kind of-
Yeah.
That's totally cool.
Yeah.
What's the distance between 2 gigantic ships? Gigantic ships.
Man, it was probably like 150 feet.
All right.
Yeah.
You were that close to each
Yeah.
other?
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit.
Oh,
Seems like
yeah.
they could close that gap pretty quickly.
Man, I mean,
Yeah.
imagine these 2 huge ships. If they just kind of go like that, at each
Yeah.
other, it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And so these cables were on these pulley systems that anytime the ships got closer, they would tighten up or they would have to loosen.
Sure.
And so you're up there for like 15, 16 hours, and there's like bringing pallets of stuff back and forth, and you just like up there, and if a cable snaps, people will die. It was
No,
serious
no,
business.
it's yeah.
So would you drop the stuff off and then have to head back to port, pick up more stuff, and then head back out?
Absolutely.
Just kind of keep them.
And what we would do is even when we would transfer the fuel, we would connect it to our ship, send that line across. They connect it into their reserve
Their
tank
system,
or whatever that goes down into their main tanks, and then we'd start pumping fuel. So we'd be sending fuel on one end, and then we'd send food on another end, and then ammunition was going through the middle.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Man.
Yeah, so you do a full work day, and then you have to go up and play, unwrap, the floating 7-Eleven with this,
yeah.
the whole fleat.
Jeez,
Yeah,
that's neat.
it was cool, though.
I'm just having an image of like a giant Quickie Mart sign that comes up over the
Open,
Yeah.
open.
The USS
and
AMP.
you got this guy, you got a guy at the end that goes, "Thank you, come again."
Right, right. What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it was cool. I think it really taught a really big focus of what you need to do, get it done, and finish it, because you could die if you mess up out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Or harm somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But
Yeah, no,
it
the
was
stakes are high. 'Cause it's amazing.
I was like, I've been doing my time and get out.
Yeah, because those are,
There's safer ways to make a living out
Yeah.
here.
because they're like millions of tons of displacement, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
No, it's insane. It's insane.
So once we offload, that ship would come out of the water like 20 feet. I mean, that's like
Oh,
two
because
stories.
you take
all
all
the
that weight
fuel,
off.
all
Oh my
the
God,
weight
that's
just
insane.
comes off
Yeah.
of it, and we were out of the water that much.
Wow.
And then we would have to stop, and then they would hang people over the side to paint the ship.
Oh, because the water line.
The water line,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
now
my God.
you see the ship just looks like shit now.
Oh, man.
You're like, go down there and paint that.
Can't go back to port like that, right?
Right. Before we pull in, we got to look good. Everybody get a haircut.
Rear admiral's back there.
Right.
They're just itching to yell at somebody.
Do something.
Nothing else to do. Well, guys, we've kind of hit our
man.
time for this episode.
Cool.
How does that happen?
I don't know. We just get talking and it just goes.
Having a
goes
good
and goes.
conversation will do that, man.
Yeah, but we wanted to mention a couple things. First, if you haven't heard, Gong Show,
Gong
July
Show.
8th at the Renton Civic Theater.
Oh, you don't say.
Like right behind Anthony is a little tiny. If you want to reach over and
The
grab.
little gong, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We are doing a gong show. Come on
It's
down.
got a little
and-
gong. Yeah, you're out of here.
Pretty good sound to it.
Stand back.
Yeah.
Pull them off.
I figured we could, at the very least, Charles, we can have that as the thing at the forefront of the table there.
I might just wrap that around my
See
neck.
how this? No.
Yeah, I got that on Amazon for like $20.
Oh, man, I think every home needs one.
I-
I can't believe I've gone this long without it.
Yeah. So 7-8 at the Renton Civic Theater. Doors open at 7. Show starts about 8. We've got a live band. The Hayfields are going to be in the house.
It's going to be a great night.
It's going to be a
We're gonna
fun
have
night.
some great dad jokes for you.
Yeah.
There's going to be bushels of corn.
Yeah, it's going to be
Bushels and
It's going to be bushels
corn.
of talent.
Oh, yes.
No, there's going to be talent too, but there's going to be we're going to have some William Hung type talent, you know.
Probably. It's $10 at the door.
You can't beat it.
You
Full
can't beat
bar.
that price. I mean, that's worth the price of the Hayfields right there.
Yeah,
the
no,
full bars
absolutely
is
it
going to
is.
be open, which
Yep.
are very much encouraged because the show's going to be that much better
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah,
a couple
yeah.
of drinks in you. So
Some
come
rum
on
and coke,
down.
folks.
Yeah. And
else
stick
are we
around
going?
for you members of the podcast. Go to r-townpodcast.com and sign up. It's $3 a month or $30
Yeah.
a year to
I mean,
get
it's
our
unreal.
bonus content.
Okay,
We've
think of
got
the children.
blogs, we've
Yeah.
got extra videos, we've got extra
Nice.
show, we got all kinds of stuff
Is
in
this
there.
going to be available for me? I'd love to have a.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, no, the
We'll
whole
sell
planet's
my
going to be
site.
watching this.
And,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
well,
Are we gonna bleep out anything?
No, fuck that shit.
Yeah, not a thing.
No.
We haven't yet.
See,
Yeah.
because this is a podcast,
Yeah,
and
no, it's great.
we listed it as explicit just in case someone does say fuck
yeah.
or shit
Yeah,
or
yeah,
cunt,
that's fine.
and I don't want to have to edit it out later, so I'm just gonna
That's
leave
a
it in.
different set of standards
that'd be
these
too much
days.
to edit out. You'd be like, you know what? I'm just not gonna post.
I
We-
think
we
the
grappled
only
the FCC.
show that didn't have blue in it was when we had the mayor here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
Not
no,
even a
we
bit of
were
it?
we were very Disneyfied for
Yeah,
that
geez,
episode.
maybe.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Until he started talking about his experience with the dirty dish rags, the punk rock outfit. From
Yeah. Was that on air or?
Yeah, I don't know.
Should have gave him a
Maybe-
shot.
remember.
Give him a couple shots.
get him loosened
Get him
up.
loosened up.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, we
Yeah, he's
enjoyed
a good
it.
guy. I like it.
All right, guys. Anybody? Oh, I've got some end on a positive note. If nobody else does, I will. I read Princess Leia herself. Carrie Fisher, wrote a
Rest in
book a
peace.
few years ago, and I think it was an HBO special as well called Wishful Drinking. And one of the first lines in the very first chapter I really like, so I wrote it down. It is, I have to start by telling you that my entire existence could be summed up in one phrase, and that is, if my life wasn't funny, it would just be true. And that is unacceptable.
Oh,
Which I thought was great.
I think my favorite quote that is very positive is laughter is the best medicine. And the best thing about it is that the refills are free and you can't overdose on it. So.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. There was a funny quote she mentioned when she was talking about how George Lucas had licensed her likeness, right? So she could be a Pez dispenser. She hated the Pez dispenser. She kept talking about the Pez dispenser.
Getting candy out of my
All this
neck.
stuff.
Yeah.
And she said she went to a some kind of Star Wars con, right? Convention, and she saw this almost life-size statue of herself in the original white, Princess Leia outfit,
Right.
and it was on like this turnstile, and she was looking up at it, and as it came around, she could see up the dress, and she could actually see it anatomically correct, right? And she's like, what the hell? So she said, I was a bit taken aback by this. So I called George and I said, you know what, man? Owning my likeness does not include owning my lagoon of mystery.
They got my camel toe right? How's that?
I just like the lagoon of mystery.
She actually, at the when he got his Kennedy Award, she talked about how George told me there was no bras in space.
Yeah.
Why does Padme Amidildo have a bra in her movies, George?
It was the 70s, man. It was a different time. Anyway, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Yes,
but I wanted to share that with you guys. So, anybody else got anything else?
I think that's it for me.
No, thank you.
All right. So, Our Town Podcast. Thanks, Anthony Hollis. Again, it's hammersthatcare.com. Blackout Motors 247.com.
Correct.
And
TowYouRightNow.com.
Damn, whatever you need, man. This man's got it. So look him up.
And you need like an umbrella website to just direct people everywhere.
Wherever you need to go, man.
Yeah. I'm going to start selling these businesses, so they need to be separate, all right?
That's right.
Well, I mean, you can just, as you sell them, you just remove them from the list.
Right.
Right on.
I got you.
All right. Thanks,
Fail
guys.
your way to the top. Fail your way to the top. That's all I got to say.
That's what you got to do.
All right.
Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you think this episode is worth $1 or $5, the boys would love to have it. Please go to ourtownpod.store for merch or to donate now. For less than a cup of coffee, you can also join the website in the member-only area for exclusive bonus content, blogs, and more. It's just $3 a month or $30 a year. Thank you for listening to this production of Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire.
Hey everyone, this is Cousin Todd. I just wanted to let you guys know that I have another podcast that I do with my cousin Marianne and my friend Jamal. It's called Not About You with Jamal Harrington, Marianne Riley, and Cousin Todd. It's a weekly podcast where, basically like this one, we talk about what's in the news and what's going on and what we think about it. But from a perspective of two comedians and, well, me. I'm not a comedian, but I'm on the show. So check it out by going to notaboutyoupod.com. That's the letter U, that's the word U. So notaboutyoupod.com.